A shout-out opportunity on today's Alabama Football Report for you guys. Whoever comments the most will get a shout-out, so you can just type in 1, 2, 3, 4. You can just spam me. You can name random players. Whatever it is, whoever comments the most individual comments will get a shout-out on a future Alabama show. So flood the comment section for me right now as we begin with a transfer. Jamil Burroughs is in the portal for the Alabama Crimson Tide. This one might not be a massive surprise. He enters the portal following an off-season incident in which he allegedly struck an assistant strength coach, and, you can't really hit your coaches and expect to stick around. So I don't know if this was a, hey, Jamil, you should go in the portal, or hey, Jamil, maybe we all agree that portal's the best sense, or Burroughs just like, I'm out of here, I don't want to be here anymore. Whatever it was, he's no longer a member of the program. Bama loses a potential, some who thought a breakout year could happen for him, but a rotation piece along that defensive line. Here's the background of the incident in case you missed our video on it a few weeks ago. Burroughs and others had the cops called on them at, I forget which hall it was. They were allegedly play fighting with some gel pellet guns. Now, cops show up. They say, okay, don't do that. They leave. Everything's fine. Assistant coach Josh Chapman arrives. He and Burroughs get into an argument of some capacity, probably because, the assistant strength coach was yelling at the players, would be my guess. Burroughs and Chapman argue, and then allegedly Burroughs strikes Chapman, and now a few weeks later, Burroughs leaves the program, which I think that makes some sense, that he's gone. Like, that's candidate coaches but stick around. Burroughs didn't play a ton last year, 8 tackles, 2 TFLs, 1 sack, but guys like DJ Dale, Byron Young, etc. are gone off to the NFL. So there was a vacancy in the snap counts that many thought Burroughs would play a bigger role this year. Well, that's not going to happen. So there are 2 names to look at more in depth. This is the new Alabama defensive line depth chart, the interior players when they're in that kind of more 3-4 base front. Tim Smith was probably always going to be a starter. He's set to play a pretty big role. Maybe Damon Payne Jr. gets some more snaps. There are some added depth pieces. But 2 names that I want to look at here a little bit more in depth with where they currently sit, with Burroughs now gone, is Jamir Latham, who is now set to be a bigger role. Only played 4 tackles last year, shown some flashes as a pass rusher at times, in a very small role from that perspective. But with Burroughs gone, he stands out as an obvious candidate to fill that kind of outside defensive end, such a defensive tackle role, i.e. not a nose guard. There's also James Smith, who was getting some work with some of the 2s and 1s at spring, allegedly. He's a 5-star recruit. With Burroughs gone, that frees up potentially a bigger instant impact role for James Smith, which in the end, knock on wood, might end up being a good thing for the 5-star number 2 defensive lineman in this last year's recruiting class. So what is your concern level over Jamil Burroughs leaving Alabama? It's probably on the lower end, but I still want you guys to sound off at the pinned comment of today's show. 1 to 10's the scale, so go vote. We've said that we're hoping July is a strong month for Alabama. Started as well as possible with a commitment. Jameer Grimsley announced Saturday night he has committed to Alabama, with the Crimson Tide beating out Michigan and Florida for him. Grimsley is about as big of a get as I think you'll be able to have for the Crimson, or not, in terms of corners of the recent run of guys for the next couple of weeks. There's maybe one more guy I'll get to later on in today's show that could be a bigger get. But that's a great get in terms of starting the month out right. Been plenty of buzz that Michigan was the favorite for Grimsley, and it does sound like it was, in the end, down to Michigan or Alabama based on Grimsley's own comments. But that's a big one. To start the month out right and for Bama to get back on the track after a bit of a slower start to their recruiting cycle. Here's what Grimsley told On3 about his commitment. I feel like I made the best choice for me and my family. It was hard to choose over Michigan, but I bet on myself. I think I have the best opportunity of being developed at Alabama and going to the league in the highest round. I have big dreams, so I think Bama is the best place for me. I fit in well with the players and the coaches. They're always competing for a national championship. Nick Saban, he's hands-on with the DBs. When you have the greatest coach of college football hands-on at the DB spot, it's kind of hard to say no to that. He's the winningest coach, or the winningest college football coach and is the best coach of all time, in my opinion. Grimsley's out of Florida, so the Gators finished third and with the local recruit, I suppose. 19th overall cornerback. These based on the 24/7 Sports composite rankings, oh, by the way. 4-star, 215 overall. Crimson Tide a little bit thin in the secondary. Maybe they even try him at safety, where they do have John Mbakwe, probably going to be a corner, who would be a higher-rated recruit than Grimsley. But that's a big get either way for the Crimson Tide. So let's show them some love. Everyone type Roll Tide in the comment section right now if you want to welcome the newest Alabama Crimson Tide commit to Tuscaloosa. Spam Roll Tide for me in the comment section right now. We appreciate everyone who does that here. And go type those Roll Tides right now. This is where Alabama sits then in the 2024 recruiting rankings. They are now up to 20th. They were outside the 30s just a couple of days ago. Georgia's still 1. No major changes beyond USC's now number 5. They've jumped up, much to the chagrin of producer Sam Brown, who hates Lincoln Riley because he went to Oklahoma. LSU is number 9. Tennessee back in the top 10. But Bama's at 20 for now. As we'll break down here momentarily, there is a really good shot of a bunch of commits coming in July. We're going to set the over-under at 5.5, which we were way under last time. I got too excited for June, but July could be a little better. We will count the already commit as part of this, so they're already at 1. Over-under 5.5 commits. Type O for over, U for under in the comments. July decision timeline coming, but first KJ Bolden, the 5-star safety, has announced his top 5 schools. Alabama in the mix. Now, he had previously told On3 that Bama was in his top 3. He will commit in August, so August 5th decision for KJ Bolden. On3 also mentioned in the past they don't think he's going to end up at Alabama, but hey, crazy stuff does tend to happen. The early frontrunners here for KJ Bolden, remember, there's the 5 finalists, but the top 3 allegedly are Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama. Auburn and FSU, with Auburn's official coming in October, which I find interesting. You're going to take an official visit after you commit, or at least that's the planned official visit if he actually goes there. Auburn and FSU kind of bringing up the rear of those top 3, allegedly. Now, his recruiting profile, number 6 overall recruit, a 5-star safety. Number 1, he's number 2 from the state of Georgia. Last year, the Bulldogs lost Caleb Downs. I don't know if that will happen again with Alabama poaching the top safety in the class. If it does, and if there are more commits, you know we will break them all down for you. So make sure you guys are subscribed. More free Bama YouTube videos when you guys are subscribed. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now. The July decision dates then. So a lot of players that are in the mix with Alabama are going to commit. These are all 2024 recruits, 10 total. We'll go player by player, but Daniel Calhoun gets us started here July 5th. Then Jacob Good, Arian Hampton, Marquise Easley, Casey Poe, Keelan Adams, Caleb Odom. Georgia commit for now is Marcus Riddick, Zabin Brown, and William Sanders. Those last 2 guys, dates TBD. Calhoun is down to 4 teams. Again, a lot of this is per On3, by the way, but 24/7 stuff tends to match up pretty well there, too. Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas for a top 100 recruit. Georgia has been the heavy buzz/expectation for Calhoun. Now, Jacob Good is a 3-star safety, as I double-check my notes, make sure I'm saying this correctly. 416 overall. A lot of buzz on Bama for him. Florida, OSU, Oregon, and you're a bit of an outlier there. UCF, also among the finalists. He is from Georgia, by the way, but apparently wants to go out of state. So keep an eye on Bama for Jacob Good. That would potentially be 2 commits. Aaron Hampton. This one, it's the classic recruiting for he's an athlete, technically number 11 athlete, but he's going to play receiver. 154 overall, going to commit on July 7th. Yes, the Bama people, Bama's got a great shot at him. Texas people, he's going to go to Texas. So it's one of those that both camps think they're going to end up landing him. We'll know on July 7th. This is a player that I know Julian Sand wants. Keep an eye on Hampton. Bama, Texas, the 2 finalists for that. He also took a trip to UTSA, but he's not going to go there. Marquise Easley, don't get your hopes up here. Doesn't sound like since his official visit, Bama has been that much in the mix. Georgia and I think Oklahoma are the top 2 teams to monitor here. We'll say Georgia a lot on today's show. Let's go to the interior of the offensive line. Casey Poe, who's number 105 in the 24/7 Sports composite rankings. Overall, he's the number 6 interior offensive lineman. Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech. Interestingly enough, that's kind of the outlier school there. A lot of good buzz on Bama for the Texas product, so we'll put him in the watch commitment category, which could potentially be 3 or 4 for Alabama, and he commits on July 12th. Then July 13th, Bama's a finalist for Keelan Adams, who we haven't talked that much about. He is a Virginia boy. Suspect that the Virginia Tech Hokies would end up landing Adams, so I don't get the best vibes reading 24/7, On3, etc. for Adams, but he is a finalist there. What I am excited for is Caleb Odom. Bama is a finalist along with Auburn, Florida, Miami, and Ole Miss. He's going to commit July 15th. Top 100 recruit at tight end. He is number 68 overall, number 4 tight end. We've talked about Odom many times on this program. I think there's a great chance he ends up at Alabama. I'm going to predict that he will. That would be a really good get for the Crimson Tide because I think they'll use tight ends more under Tommy Rees. This would be a massive flip. DeMarcus Riddick with Georgia commitment, but a lot of good buzz on Bama, the 5-star linebacker. This could potentially be number 5, by the way, for you if you land him, not knowing Hampton, or maybe split him. If Bama can land him, it goes a long way. Zabin Brown, the California corner. No exact on his decision. Some point July 9th to the 15th. TBD still there. Again, much like Aaron Hampton. You ask the Bama folks. Bama's going to get him. You ask the USC guys, USC beat writers, etc. He's going to stay home. So, total toss-up. We'll see what happens. Finally, William Sanders, Alabama, LSU, and the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. 3-star offensive lineman. He got an offer around the same time the last Bama commit, Joseph Ionata, did. And immediately it was like, these guys are going to end up at Bama. No decision yet on the commitments, but Bama gets a lot of buzz there. If they get all the buzzy players, the over 5.5 would hit for this month, by the way.